News Channel 8, keeping you informed on events in your community.
I'm calling to order the Wheat Ridge City Council meeting of January 11th, 2010. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the city clerk please take roll?
Karen Berry. Here. Karen Adams.
Here.
Tracy Langworthy.
Here.
Mike Stites.
Here.
Davis Reinhardt.
Here.
Joyce J.
Here.
Joe DeMott.
Here.
And Wanda Sang. Wanda Sang is absent.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of December 14th, 2010?
So moved.
Or 2009, I'm sorry.
Second.
Changes to the minutes? Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Citizens' right to speak is reserved for members of the public who wish to speak on any item not on the agenda. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes. Others may donate their time to the speaker at the podium for a total of 9 minutes. When you are speaking at the podium, you will see a green light when you start speaking, a yellow light when you have 30 seconds left, and a red light when your time is up. So do we have anybody here to speak tonight on something not on the agenda? Please step forward for public comment. And please spell your last name for the record and or your city. Okay.
My last name is Lucero, Lucero. And I'm just wanting to know, my school was put up for closure, Wheat Ridge Middle School, Saturday, and I'm just wondering if we can have support from the council, maybe to come to the board meeting on Thursday night at Jefferson County Public Schools. Our school was not on the school closure. They had a special meeting Saturday afternoon at 9. The meeting was over, but they still brought up an agenda item, and that's when our school was put up on the block. So I'm just hoping that maybe one of you can come and help support us to keep our school open.
Thank you. And the city manager will be contacting the school district tomorrow to discuss further the options that were proposed, because we haven't really heard much from them tonight so far.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on any item not on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Are there any changes tonight to the agenda? No, consent. No changes to the agenda, so we'll move on to consent agenda. Councilmember Langworthy?
Thank you, Mayor. Consent agenda 1A, resolution 05-2010, approving an agreement between the City of Lakewood and the City of Wheat Ridge for Crime Lab crime scene services and authorizing payment of $66,400. Resolution 04-2010, approving the renewal and amendment of an intergovernmental agreement for ambulance services among the City of Wheat Ridge, the Wheat Ridge Fire Protection District, and Pridemark Paramedic Services, LLC. Resolution 02-2010, recognizing a change in the bylaws of Wheat Ridge 2020 regarding ex officio board members and taking related actions. 1D, Resolution 01-2010, designating the official public notice location and the official newspaper of general circulation for the City of Wheat Ridge, Colorado. 1E, motion to adopt the 2010 regular City Council meeting calendar. 1F, a motion for approval of the 2010 annual assessment fee to the Table Mountain Animal Center to maintain adequate animal shelter support to the Wheat Ridge Police Department and the citizens of the City of Wheat Ridge in the amount of $26,602.51. And 1G, motion for approval of payment to the Colorado Municipal League for the City of Wheat Ridge membership dues for 2010 in the amount of $21,853. Is the motion in order?
Sure. Anybody like to pull any items?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item number 1D, please.
Oh, thank you. So we need a motion for all items except 1D.
I move to approve 1A, B, C, E, F, and G.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Please poll the council on the consent agenda.
Motion carries 7-0.
And for the record, the second was by Councilmember Adams. And I'd like to, item D, Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a motion on the Resolution 012010, a resolution designating the official public notice location and newspaper of general circulation for the city of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, and ask that we move to postpone that particular resolution until we can discuss it at the next available study session, and then I'd like to speak to the motion after we...
We have a motion to postpone item D, Resolution 01-2010, to a study session. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I read over this in our packets, I thought that it would be perhaps beneficial if we gave the newspaper, the Wheat Ridge Transcript, opportunity to come forward with some background material on what their desires and wishes are. I know that the newspaper has been making some changes and that they are, in fact, going to a subscription by internet, if I'm correct on that, but I don't have enough information there. I really want to applaud Michael Snow for finding the $5,000 in the budget, and I think it's wise, but I think it would be important for us to discuss it at a study session and see if that $5,000 of savings, $5,413, is something that we want to do after we get some background material from the Wheat Ridge Transcript.
I'm going to have to ask those folks in the back. We can hear you talking in the back. Could you please either go to the outside the lobby to speak, because it's coming up here. It's kind of interrupting the meeting, or we can take your comments now if you want. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion to postpone. That was seconded by Councilmember DeMott. Please put the council on the postponement of item 1D.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Next on the item on the agenda is decisions, resolutions, and motions. Item 2 is Resolution 03-2010. Councilmember Jay.
Resolution 03-2010, a resolution approving a contract with the Colorado Department of Transportation, CDOT, for the construction of traffic median improvements on Wadsworth Boulevard from 44th Avenue to 45th Avenue, project number 17529, and approval of a supplemental budget appropriation in the amount of $70,000.
Motion's in order.
Go ahead and read it. Issue: the city was successful in an application for a federal hazard elimination program grant administered by the Colorado Department of Transportation, which will fund a safety improvements project on Wadsworth Boulevard from 44th Avenue to 45th Avenue. The project includes the construction of a center median extension from 44th Avenue. The total grant amount is $86,475, with the city receiving $78,000 for the project design, construction, and construction oversight. Entering an intergovernmental agreement with the Colorado Department of Transportation is necessary to authorize funding for the project.
Okay, now motion's in order.
Where it is, right here. I move to approve resolution number 03-2010, a resolution approving a contract with the Colorado Department of Transportation for project number 17529, Wadsworth Boulevard, median safety improvements at Wadsworth Boulevard from 44th to 45th Avenue, along with a supplemental budget appropriation of $70,000 for advancement of the construction costs.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval, seconded by Councilmember Langworthy. It's my understanding we have some folks from the public to please step forward and to the podium. Please spell your last name for the record and state your address and or your city.
Hi, my name is Dave Livingston, Livingston.
Thank you.
I'm a resident of Wheat Ridge. I live at 37 Skyline Drive. I also have a business in the city of Wheat Ridge at 4501 Wadsworth. It was a office complex where I did convert it to a retail outlet, and obviously Wheat Ridge gets the benefit of converting it to a retail outlet. It's an antique mall. The proposal as it relates to going up to 45th on Wadsworth, the turnaround would be before my driveway to get in. And because of that, I would lose customers that would be going north on Wadsworth to coming into my business. Right now, there's a suicide lane, which is terribly dangerous. We all know that. But there may be something else that could be considered that would be fair to businesses in Wheat Ridge, and not having the people that are wanting to turn off to my business to go on up into Arvada instead.
Thank you. Mr. Pronto, did you have any comments on this? Because I know you were talking earlier about this with the gentleman.
No, what he's stated is correct. This is a very high accident location. The intent is to restrict the left turn movement so that there would be a U-turn at 45th allowed, so folks wanting to come back to the businesses along the west side of Wadsworth would be able to make that movement. We'd restrict the location to one point rather than this continuous turning movement. And we believe, and CDOT believes, that this will make it a much safer situation for those travelers and the customers that Mr. Livingston has coming into his business.
Thank you. Any council questions or discussion? Mr. Stites?
Tim, since this has not been planned yet, I would presume that you will have a public hearing when you do get some type of plan developed for that, for the property owners along there?
Yes, what we do is get a preliminary design put together, have a meeting, and advertise it to all of the business owners and property owners along that section of Wadsworth, get their input before it's finalized and brought back to you for approval. Of course, CDOT will have to approve it before we bring it also to City Council.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? We have a motion for approval of item number 2. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 3, Councilmember Stites.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce a motion to encumber funds for the 2010 fuel, granular de-icer, and liquid de-icer purchases in the amount not to exceed $400,000. Is the motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to encumber $270,000 in account number 01-303-650-661 oil and gas for fuel purchases in 2010 and in accordance with ordinance number 787, 1989 series. I further move to encumber $130,000 in count number 01-303-650-660 operating supplies to purchase road salt and liquid de-icer in 2010 and in accordance with ordinance 787, 1989 series.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval of item number 3, seconded by Councilmember Langworthy. Discussion on the main motion. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 4, Councilmember Langworthy.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve the award of ITB 09-33 Safe Routes to School project improvements to KECI Colorado in the amount of $54,038. The city and Compass Montessori Wheat Ridge Charter School was successful in an application for a Safe Routes to School grant, which will fund pedestrian crossing improvements at 44th Avenue and Miller Street. The project includes the installation of 2 mid-block ADA ramps, 2 radar speed boards, 2 enhanced pedestrian crossing signs, and a crosswalk. The federal grant amount is $60,000. The city will administer the project. The project is federally funded and was authorized by the City Council through an IGA intergovernmental agreement with the Colorado Department of Transportation on July 14, 2008. On November 24, 2009, 4 bids were received, and all met the initial bid requirements. The apparent low bidder was KECI Colorado, Sedalia, Colorado, in the amount of $54,038. Is the motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to award ITB 0933 Safe Routes to School projects to KECI Colorado, Sedalia, in the total base bid amount of $54,038. I further moved that a contingency amount of $2,462 be approved. I further move that the Director of Public Works be authorized to issue change orders up to a total contract and contingency amount of $56,500. I further move that all costs associated with this contract be paid from account number 30-303-800-884, and that these funds be encumbered for the length of the project in accordance with ordinance number 787, 1989 series.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval of item number 4, seconded by Councilmember Stites. Discussion on the main motion. Please poll the council. Councilmember Langworthy, please go ahead.
Okay. I'd just like to make a comment that that part of 44th Avenue can be quite troublesome. I mean, Compass Montessori School is right on 44th, and so there's a lot of traffic getting in and out of that. So I'm hoping that this will help some of those students that need to get across the street safely do that. So, thank you very much for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Please poll the council on the main motion.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 5 is Resolution 06-2010. Councilmember Reinhardt.
Resolution 06-2010, amending the fiscal year 2010 budget to reflect the acceptance of a grant in the amount of $6,000 and in connection therewith approval of supplementary budget appropriation in the amount of $6,000 for development of a mixed-use zone district. The city is developing a mixed-use zone district to promote mixed-use development in targeted areas of the city. An important aspect of developing this known zone district is obtaining property owner and public input concerning urban design, height, density, and types of uses. The city has secured a grant from the Colorado Association of Local Public Health Officials through LiveWell and Wheatridge to develop a dedicated website to provide information to and seek input from the public on a new mixed-use zone district. The website will be used to provide public meeting announcements, post draft documents, provide survey opportunities, and provide other methods of public input. A budget amendment is required to reflect the acceptance of the $6,000 grant and to appropriate it to the mixed-use zone district website. Is a motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to approve resolution number 06-2010, a resolution amending fiscal year 2010 long-range planning budget account number 01-123-600-704 to reflect the acceptance of the grant award in the amount of $6,000 and to appropriate the funds for the development of a mixed-use zone district website.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval, seconded by Councilmembers Jay and Stites. Discussion on the main motion. Mr. Reinhardt?
I just want to say that I think it's really important that we keep moving forward with these kinds of items, that we needed to move forward studying and finding the best possible mixed zone use districts for our developments and our city, and that having the opportunity to use outside funds to do that, I think, is a real plus for us.
Thank you. Any other comments on the item? Please poll the council on item number 5.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 6 is council rules and changes. Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes, pursuant to the rules, we're required to review the council rules after within 90 days of each election, and as such, we have discussed it internally, and we're introducing, have brought forth in writing pursuant to the rules 3 potential changes to the rules. One of them has been withdrawn, so the potential rules changes are one, to eliminate a redundant language related to special meetings and emergency meetings and how they're called, which is redundant with the charter, and a second one to allow to set the terms for the mayor to bring forth items onto the council agenda on which it was previously silent. Unless there's further discussion, we'll bring those 2 forward again in the following 2 weeks from now, pursuant to the rules, to amend the council rules.
Discussion? Okay. That concludes our agenda for tonight. We'll move on to city managers' matters.
I have nothing more. Thank you.
City attorney's matters.
2 things. You should have received in your boxes a summary of the conclusion of the El Dorado lawsuit, and I'm pleased that that was concluded well, and we're we're very well served by the SIRSA assigned attorneys that took that case to trial and went in front of a jury in 40 minutes. It's pretty good. So you have that. And secondly, I think one of you has a motion for a brief executive session on the Richards Hart water supply that I'd appreciate your making when you get to elected officials matters, whoever has that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City Clerk's matters?
Nothing this evening?
Councilmember Berry? Councilmember DeMott? Councilmember Adams? Councilmember Jay?
I do want to say, express my delight over the fact that we're going to keep our two schools, which are Martinson and, what's that one called?
Bennington.
Bennington, of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm way too dyslexic. I've made that mistake myself.
Not Bennington, it's Bennington. Councilmember Langworthy?
Nothing at this time. Oh, nothing, thank you.
That's right. Please press your on button for the mic if you're going to speak. Councilmember Stites?
Yeah, I got something. A couple of things, actually. One, I know it's early, it's not spring yet, but please start picking up your yards and stuff. I know code enforcement has been out and will be out, and I know times are tough, but these are the times that we have to pay a lot of attention to the way our city looks, and we can't afford to let it get out of order too far, too fast. So please start taking a look at your yard, see what you can do. Please do a positive thing for your family, community, your neighbors. And as always, please try to find it and buy it in Wheat Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to Councilmember Reinhardt as soon as you're ready to make that motion for the executive session. I wanted to pass out something tonight for council to read about. This is our meeting tomorrow night, is the Building Code Task Force. We're meeting at 4 o'clock at City Hall. And what I wanted to give you tonight was the packet of information that Steve Thomas, Randy Young, myself, and Ken Johnstone had met and talked about in November. What this is the discussion of the items, pros and cons of each item, and then some recommendations that the committee will be looking at. Our goal is to really hit the ground running and have this back to council for a study session in March. That was the direction by the motion. But I guess what I'm asking council to do is not so much to focus on the options, but focus on the items, so that when we come to council and have a PowerPoint presentation on what the recommendations are of the committee, that you'll have a good understanding of what these items are. For example, what a planning permit is or what a siting permit is. And it's described fairly well by the consultant in this document. So when we come to council, we like to be able to say, we're talking about planning permits, and by the way, here's the options that we're looking at. And then the option in bold right now is the option that was discussed by Steve Thomas. That doesn't necessarily mean that the committee will take that option, but if you notice that each one of these items has items 1, 2, or 3 at option 1, 2, and 3. So the committee will look at those 3 options, or maybe a 4th option, then give that to council as a recommendation. We're meeting tomorrow night at 4 o'clock here in council chambers. We're going to try to keep it crisp and moving along so that we can get this back to council, because it's important that we adopt the 2006 IBC, but these are some policy changes that council may want to look at in the interim. And I also wanted to remind council that on Wednesday night, January 13th, we're having the Wadsworth Summit here at 6 o'clock. That's been set up with Mr. Johnstone and his department. We've mailed out letters to the commercial property owners on Wadsworth to discuss the mixed-use zone district options on that. Plus also there'll be other staff here to talk about different options they have with city services. And so we'll kick it off at 6. And the goal was to have it done by 8, and we'll be here at City Hall January 13th. So the 12th is our Building Code Task Force. The 13th will be our Wadsworth Summit. And like I said, we've contacted the Wadsworth commercial property owners to discuss some of these options they have and some services within the city of Wheat Ridge. So I'm looking forward to both of these meetings to really keep our city moving forward. The Wadsworth Summit is very important with this mixed-use zone district, and it really affects the corner at 44th and Wadsworth, plus some properties across the street on the west side, all the way down. They're under urban renewal. So that group will get a brief history of what's happened in the last 6 months with the ballot questions, some of the changes we're looking at that council's already passed, and then we'll discuss the services that the city offers. I'm assuming Ryan will be here in the business district in 2020. Right. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the Building Code Task Force or the Wadsworth Summit coming up here in the next couple of days? I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be good for the city. So the last thing I wanted to pass out is I appreciate the fact that Councilmember Berry had pulled her code of conduct out of the council rules. I just wanted to pass out for council, just so you'll have it, is this resolution that was passed by city council in 2007, which is actually a code of conduct resolution that council had. And it talks about code of conduct in general, especially about conflicts of interest. Here we go. Sorry. One more. Did I get enough for both sides? And so what this was a resolution adopting rules of conduct applicable to public officers, employees, and independent contractors within the city. Sorry about that. Indecent contractors. And basically, this was the first stab at rules of conduct that the city had passed in 2007, which was an amended version from previous years. So I thought this would be, like I said, I'm not advocating one way or the other, but I wanted to have council to have all the information. So when something does come forward, you have a resolution versus an ordinance versus a council rule change. So with that, any other comments or questions from staff or from council? Mr. Davis.
I just want to say also greatly appreciate that that the Jefferson County Board of Education decided not to close our 2 elementary schools. I just think that was incredibly important for the city, and it would have been a colossal step backwards for us in our revitalization efforts. And so I'm grateful for those that made efforts to change the recommendations of the committee. Beyond that, I'm going to move that we go into executive session for conference with the city attorneys under Section 5.7B1 and Section 2472-402-4B. CRS, specifically a conference with the city attorney for legal advice concerning the water supply to the Richard Hartz Estates. I further move to adjourn the council meeting at the conclusion of the executive session.
Is there a second? We have a motion to go into executive session, seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Wheat Ridge Channel 8, keeping you informed on events in your community.